Welcome back, everybody. I am here with JP and Luke. We're here with the Star Wars CCG graded group update for April of 2025. Gosh, the time just flies by, gentlemen. It's good to have you back and to talk all things Star Wars CCG, of course. Let's get right into our business at the top of the hour here. We're going to cover this past month's contest, upcoming contest, Philly, other card show updates. I went to Philly Card Show. JP's got some card show updates. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the grading and graded prices and stuff like that. Luke's going to wrap us up with some of the interesting sales that we had relatively recently, and then some other exciting things in Star Wars, and wrap it up. So this past month's contest. All right, so it was foil locations and planets, which apparently not a lot of people have. We had a few Death Star fans, so some of those were in here, right? A lot of that. A little rendezvous point, Death Star trench, stuff like that. A little bit of Endor, but overall, kind of a light showing, JP. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
For sure. Well, I mean, it's very specific, and everybody knows how tough foils are for grading. Wasn't sure how the turnout was going to be, but I kind of figured it was going to be kind of heavy on Death Star, the trench, and of course Rendezvous Point. Yep, we definitely are kind of still testing the waters of the different competitions we're going to have monthly, and this one was just light.
Well, kick us off with low ball, because we had some interesting low ball.
Yeah, so that's usually my favorite category. We had 2 submissions for low ball. Paul Hubbard had Endor Ewok Village. That was PSA 8, and also Rendezvous Point for PSA 8. But inevitably, we had Brian Emery took a low ball with his Death Star Reflections 1, PSA 7. And of course, just kicking it out of the park with the Endor Ewok Village, PSA 2. So we know you guys have those grades out there, and please showcase what you got. Don't feel bad. We got a category for everybody. So congratulations, Brian. What does he win?
Yeah, that was wild. We have a Princess Organa Reflections foil for Brian, so we will get that to him. Congrats on that. I thought that was kind of fun. PSA 2.
Yeah.
See,
that rocks it.
This low ball stuff exists out there. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought about it, but it's almost so low.
I'm challenged personally for my personal collection. I want to send in 2 or 3 Tanika sisters from Premiere, and I want that to be a PSA 2. So tell me your secrets. If you guys are consistently getting 2s, I want to make sure that that specific card gets exactly a 2. So that's on my agenda.
Yeah, and it's funny. I actually I want to say Paul. I think he recently. Let me see my records here. No, let me find here orders. Speaking of lowball, I did sell Paul picked up my Jedi Pack lowball set that was all PSA 4, 5s, and 6s.
I saw this.
So he picked,
epic. It was like $50, I think.
Yeah. I was like, sure, man, it's going to a good place. I was like, it's all good. But it's kind of a fun set, like having them all in the middle there. So hopefully that helps him win more future lowball contests moving forward. Unique, since Unique's kind of my favorite category because I like seeing the wild, weird, and wonderful. As much as I love tuning my own horn with my HGA slabs, I know a lot of people have some hard, strong feelings about HGA, and that's fine. I don't really care. But they do make, or they had made, some lovely custom slabs. So I love putting them on a display case, and they happen to be the most discussed items in my office when people come to visit. No surprise there. I think they look cool. I'm sad that I can't send in more, but they are not for sale. They're not really a high value item, but I think they look really cool. So for me personally, that works for me. Other people have secretly messaged me and told me the same thing. Some people feel very defensive and angry about it. Not really sure why. I know there's plenty of other third-party rating things, and I've seen other custom slabs come out from other companies I've never really heard of, which could also be really neat too. Just depends on what you're doing. But ultimately, Matt won the unique category with his Death Star foil Dark Side PSA 9 that happened to be put in the slab upside down. So I guess I guess PSA doesn't really know, like, oh, well, it's a dark side card, so I guess the dark side text should be on the bottom, but like, what they don't realize is it doesn't really go by that. Like, you go by the back, right? Like, it should be the Rebel side on the bottom, even if it is a dark side card. It's all, for somebody who doesn't know any of this, like, that would be really confusing. But not to mention, when you're looking at the Death Star, the super laser's on the bottom. Like, it's not an Andor or a Rogue One card, right, where you would expect the super laser to be on the bottom, because they do that in the movie because it looks kind of cool. But that's what kind of came to mind when I saw it. I was like, oh, it's like the Rogue One Death Star card. Like, it should have like its own nickname.
Shout out to Andor coming back again. That reminds me, right?
Yes,
Rogue One.
April 22nd.
Oh, yeah.
Andor season 2. They're going to drop 3 episodes at a time.
And they're leading right up to Rogue One, I guess, right? Like,
yeah, they're going to do a year, essentially. These 3 episodes will be 1 year, and then it'll be like another year, and then it'll lead up to the BBY, right, up to 0. Mm-hmm. Super stoked about that. I actually just binge watched Andor season 1 again, like all the way through, because I was like, this is so good. Like, it's just so good. And I always pick up something different, like a little bit more when I get to see him again. Like that. Sorry, I'm going off track here, but I'm just so stoked for this. They have so much eye candy in there. Like, there's stuff in the background going on, the different, like, aliens and technology around. Like, if you spend the time to kind of explore off screen, just like in the original Star Wars, like, there's just stuff to look at and soak in, and like, you get more out of it from watching it, like Rogue One kind of pulled that off. And of course, most people retro refer to like the cantina, right? You could constantly explore what's in there. Like, it just feels like there's endless stories and possibilities going on in the background. It's just rich for eye candy. So very excited for that. I have no doubt that'll be great. But anyways, we're getting off topic. So congrats, Matt, on winning the unique category there. He has some slabs that I think he wants from me, so I will probably just send him one of those. I think I have a TIE fighter Japanese he can have. So we'll move on from that. And top category, I will do second place, and JP can do first place. So second place I gave to Cam. We got Death Star foil PSA 9 and a Death Star 2 foil SGC 9. Solid submissions, Cam. So, but first place, JP, I'll hand it off to you.
Yep. Pulled it out with a great, strong submission. So Robert John put in for top pair. He had Death Star Reflections 2 PSA 10, and also the Trench from Reflections 1 PSA 10. They're both perfect. They can't be there can't be any improvement.
Foils.
Say that again.
Foils,
yeah. The competition was foils. So yeah, and that's
what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy that those are 10 foils. Like,
it's so rare. If you get an 8 or a 9, that's success. I don't know what they're seeing. And again, I probably made this mention when I first even built the group, is I'm not even going to touch doing a lot of foils. I'm hoping that there was somebody that was going to take the reins on that and learn what all the grading services were doing to kind of, have a starting point of what they're looking at, because they're almost graded different than all the other cards. They see lines and they see dots and they see stuff that I don't think we're even looking for. But congratulations to Robert John getting 2 perfect foil locations. Keep those for your collection. Those are super hot.
I will. Let's see. I think we have here for Robert John a Dathja PSA 8 Japanese. So That's pretty interesting. I think that's like the second one that's been graded, so maybe third. I don't know, but there's not many of those graded, so I'm pretty confident he doesn't have it. It's getting harder to keep track of what we've given people. You know, I'm like, oh, do they have this person? Did I give this person this thing? I don't know. Like, maybe they graded on their own, but congrats, Robert John. Great submission with that. Again, amazing. And like you were saying, JP, I've picked up PSA 8s and 9s of Reflections foils, and like you said, I consider that a win. Like I think they're in great shape usually most of the time. Like that's good enough for me. Like chasing a 10 set of foils, man, not only would be expensive, but you'd have to go through a lot of foils to find all that.
But just the normal QC issues of all the Star Wars CCG cards of corners and centering and chipping and all the issues you have, compounded by all the issues that the foils have too. So it's like double or triple the work to find something super perfect. Whenever I see any kind of foil that comes in a 10, man, that's almost like a unicorn. So
yeah, I have some, but I'm almost shocked when I get them because it's just like, oh wow, like cool. I wasn't banking on that, you know. Like I would have been happy with the 9. So great job with that. So that wraps up our contest for April. For May, we have devices and/or creatures. So, oh no, I'm sorry, Destiny. Excuse me, Destiny number 3 is for April. Devices and/or creatures is for May. Forgive me on that. So, Destiny number 3 must be in the card to count. But other than that, it could be foil, non-foil, Imperial, Rebel, Japanese, English, white border, black border, doesn't matter as long as it's a 3. So I'm looking forward to these submissions. Hopefully everybody can submit something for this month. Last Destiny number 1s were pretty interesting. So, but 3 I think has more possibilities than some of the other numbers, right? Like 4 and 5. I think those are harder to come across, and I knew that going in. But
yeah, Luke, sent out a message. I think there was 654 at least that were on the checklist. So there may be a couple more that.
That's a lot.
In there. Yeah.
Destiny number 1 is basically like all your mains and like a lot of good stuff. So I don't know if I'll do a Destiny number 1.
Nah.
3, 4, 5, cool. Okay, let's jump into card show updates. I know JP, you've had some show updates, so I wanted to give the floor to you.
Yeah. So of course that first show was flooded out. We've rescheduled for a bigger venue. Here on like May 16th through 18th, we're going to be in Kansas City. We do have 3-4 vendor tables. So I'm going to record what I can, take pictures, all the display cases. I'm probably saying 90% of it is going to be Star Wars CCG. So it's called the Kansas City Royalty Autographs and Card Show. There's 450 tables that are going to be there. So it's massive. It's a 3-day event. It's at the Sheridan at Crown Center. So if anybody's in the area and they're going to be there, hey, stop by the tables, come see me. I can't remember where we're at because you actually had to decide if you want front, middle, or back. And we needed to get a bunch of tables together. So, yeah, so I don't know where we're located, but come find me. You know what I look like. And so look for somebody that looks like me. I've got a couple of shirts I had custom made that's going to have some graded cards on them, my own graded cards. So you can only see it at the show. I might take a couple of pictures or videos with the mono. I've actually got one with a poster too. I think it's the Endor one. See, I told you it wasn't safe here, or it's just dangerous here. So I've also got another show booked in June. That's a 3-table event for us. And so, again, it's going to be Star Wars CCG, and we're just going to start pounding away and do as many shows as possible. I want to be a perpetual vendor at these shows and then just start picking them up as the months go on. Just get it in people's faces and just show them, what it's all about. So,
fantastic. For our Midwest collectors, you have all that info now.
Yeah. So a lot's going on in the Midwest, and I'll keep you posted. Just keep watching our updates. I'll keep you posted, and then we'll post videos and pictures and things like that. So the membership's staying pretty steady. It's still a slow growth. Over the last 2 or 3 days, it stayed at 925. We're still creeping up to 1,000. We are going to do something special when we hit 1,000, and then we'll let you guys know what we're going to do. So we're excited about already getting to 1,000, and we got more and more people. Yeah, it's still great. A lot of activity. People are still, showing their submissions. People still have some questions. There were no scammers this month. I didn't have to kick anybody out, or nobody complained. That there's a lot of bird dogs in our group that are helping me out too. They'll instantly send me a message. They'll call people out because there's only 3 rules, and rule number 3 is please coin your pictures.
Yeah.
Have some kind of a piece of paper with your name and date, and that's all you really got to do. Just keep it safe and just know who you're working with. Make sure your transactions are safe. If you got any questions, talk to any of the group experts. We'll definitely give referrals, and there's referrals within the group too. People have done transactions with people that, have eBay accounts too, that you don't know whether to trust them or not. Well, just send it out to our group. There's somebody that's done some work with them. Otherwise, be careful. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Real quick, I was going to announce about a Bigfoot sighting, but I'm going to save that for Luke. Luke's got a good update on that. And I just want to touch on some of the April specials. We kind of carefully watch what all the grading services are doing. They're not doing too much. PSA is kind of flat right now, but I will say I went out to CGC and I'm excited. I'm going to start submitting to CGC. They're only $12 a card for their bulk. You just send in 25 cards and you get their $12 special. So
that's been on my radar too. I mean, Beckett is $17.95 if you want the subgrades, which you're going to get the subgrades, right? And PSA is still at $16.99 for TCG bulk, so you're going to need at least 20 cards in there, but that's brutal. Like I know 13 to 16 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you start submitting in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 cards, like that adds up a lot, and frankly, these cards aren't even worth it because it's not really just the price of the slab. They're going to get you with insurance, and then you got the shipping. So you really got to add like $4 a card, on top of that. And it's like, I'm trying to complete sets here, like it'd be one thing if you're trying to, I don't know. It kind of annoys me, but I'm also banking on the fact that in May, they're going to do another Star Wars special. I'm hoping they do that like they do every year. So hopefully they do Star Wars like 13, 14, I don't know. Maybe they bring that back down again because I have stacks of cards to send out, but I'm not going to overpay it. Like I want them graded, but I don't, I'm not going to do this stupidly. I'm just going to sit back and wait. But it is wintertime. Generally, people have submitted more stuff. They have more indoor time. They're thinking about it. Summertime, people want to be outside, outdoors, swimming, adventuring,
traveling.
Grading is not going to be the top of mind. So things will slow down, and they need to catch up with all the grading stuff. But yeah, I
want to add about HGA too. There was a message that came out from HGA that they're looking for an operational partner.
I was just kind of curious. I was like, I'm just going to go to their website. I just kind of want to see what's what. And like they had posted that message on 3/31. So I shared it with the group. I didn't leave any comments or feedback on it. I just wanted to know that there was some activity going on there. It looks like they were trying to get bought out essentially, or trying to have somebody buy it.
Right.
But I guess they couldn't make the deal, or maybe they didn't want to sell it for a certain price or something like that. I don't know. Frankly, I feel bad for there were some good people that were working there that kind of had good relationships with the people that sent in there, and you would only know this if you submitted cards to HGA. Thinking like Teresa Franklin, among a couple other people that I spoke with directly at HGA that really good people. And they said the funny thing is they come across these great cards and collectors, but they grade them and then the collectors keep the cards. So the cards and the slabs never see the light of the public, right? Nobody sees them submitting them. So it's almost like you don't think it exists, or you think nobody's doing anything, but like there were people submitting like entire complete sets of like Pokemon stuff, like all custom slabs, or you name it, like sports, Marvel, all kinds of cool stuff, like really unique stuff. But they just, because they're not posting it for sale, you would never see it. Like PSA, even the Beckett stuff, like that's designed to be graded and can put in a market, and people know a value and can trade it like stocks, and there are people that do that. I don't know. It's kind of nuts to me. I don't think I could do that. Much less like I can't day trade. It's just a different target. I like the way they look. I'm sad that the company has gone like that. If people want to be like, oh, I told you so, like that's fine. But like, I'm happy with the slabs I have. I'm not regretting that. I'm not going to crack them. I have the only Imperial class Star Destroyer that has a custom HGA slab on it.
Yeah.
8.5.
I was about to say it was an 8.5, right?
Which went through an AI an AI grading sort of situation. So that was analyzed deeper than a PSA. So that could have gotten a 9 at PSA, but I'm not going to crack that. Like, I like it. It looks good in my desk, my holder. So anyways, I don't want to go on a tangent about that, but I hope they figure it out. I think if a mainstream company, one of the grading companies, did buy it and just kept it kind of like its own identity, but like a different sort of option or branch or something, that could be really cool. Be like, do you want to go for like, do you plan on selling your slab or using it like a market valuable thing? Or do you plan on getting a customized sort of feature and getting the label and don't care as much about the value? Then you had that option. Like, I don't know. I think there is a market for that stuff because frankly, PSA slabs labels kind of suck, and I don't know how I feel about most of the other ones. The CGC stuff does look pretty clean. The SGC, I think for white and black cards, that tuxedo look looks pretty nice, but
agreed.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so yeah, we talked a little bit. We're going to jump to Luke shortly. We were so stoked about Andor Season 2 coming April 22nd. I was just telling everybody off before we started here that I binged the first season again because it was so good. And they're going to have 3 episodes drop starting on the 22nd. They're going to have it each year leading up to before the Battle of Yavin, right? Like right before Rogue One. Super stoked for that. That's like one of the best things that Disney did. Rogue One, man, this is good. Like I'm not gonna say like I don't like the Mando and the other stuff, but I am definitely more excited for this than probably anything else they've had before. We had Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett, and Mando Season 3, and what am I thinking of? This Goonies in space thing. I don't even know what it's called. It was fun, right? But it wasn't like, it was kind of like a curious experiment, right? But like Andor, like Diego Luna kills it. Stellan Skarsgård, absolutely amazing actor. I mean, there were some really amazing moments in there, like it was just well done. The soundtrack, was it Nicholas Brittle? I don't know how you say that. Amazing soundtrack, right? I listen to the music for Andor like in my free time. Like I do work and I put on Andor soundtrack. Like it's just that good.
Right. And it feels like Star Wars. That's the whole thing. It feels like Star Wars. Yeah.
It does. It does. And it's good storytelling. It's like rich and intrigue, right? You're getting all the like different angles of things happening, and there's payoffs. I think that's the biggest thing for me. Like they plant these seeds in the beginning of kind of the stories in the season, and they're coming from different characters, different places, and they all like converged right at the end of the season with the Rick's Road funeral thing. There were payoffs for everything, right? Payoffs. I think that was like the biggest storytelling. Like that's just so satisfying, like when you're building these story layers and these characters, and it comes to this sort of climax, right? Everyone's hunting for, Cassian Andor. Oh, everyone has their own reasons, right? Like it's just, it works. Anyways, yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here. Luke, I'm going to hand it over to you. You have some interesting things.
Yeah.
You want to share us your excitement for Andor and then tell us.
Yeah, I definitely am very excited about Andor. I agree with pretty much everything you said about the series and the quality. Yeah, it's great. So very much looking forward to that. Speaking of something else that we're looking forward to, May the 4th is coming up. Which again, we mentioned with, PSA usually does some sort of special, but this year I did want to make sure that the graded group, realizes May the 4th is a Sunday, which is always the highest auction day of the week. And so this year happens that May the 4th is a Sunday, that I would expect some pretty, interesting auctions out there. So anyways, heads up on that, as that's later this month that you'd have to list if you're doing a week out in advance, right? So
yeah, good call. So it's a good time to zero or petty auction, right? If you're gonna do it then when everybody wants Star Wars. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm always happy to be on. Thanks, Kyle and JP, for having me. I want to talk a little bit about what happened and what we saw in March. And so we saw 80 graded tracked sales, single sales in March. Just so you have some context, everybody, in March of 2024, it was 225. So like the number of sales year over year is way, way down. However, the average sale was actually up. So in March, the average sale was 104 of this year. And then in March of 2024 is 100, basically flat. So number of sales way down, average sale about the same. I think that's pretty interesting in terms of the market. The biggest thing that I want to talk about in terms of like high point sales is there was a PSA 6 Imperial class Star Destroyer foil that sold on eBay UK for $1,900. That was easily the top of the year until, and I asked Kyle and JP if they wanted me to give them or give everybody a heads up on this. So April 1st, and this was not April Fool's, I got like a verified private message on this with the documented sale from somebody who wants to remain anonymous, but 100% it was legit. Someone sold a PSA 8 Imperial class Star Destroyer foil for $2,700. So a huge sale. That is, I think, the 5th highest all time that we have on our tracker. Yeah, I was interested to see that. We've talked about
surprise me that much, though. I mean,
no,
it's just a card that people don't want to sell it.
Right.
Like, there's not a lot out there. 1, 2, the people that have them don't want to part with them. And, an 8's pretty solid. Even the 6, if you want that card, this might be your chance to get it, right? Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, we have 5 total sales right now, all time in the tracker for the Imperial class Star Destroyer foil, which means you're right. Like, people are just not selling that. So when it comes up, it is quite a premium card. I think we've mentioned this multiple times. Anytime you see, a Darth Maul Young Apprentice AI foil, non-foil, foil, those, the premium cards in Star Wars CCG continue to hold a ton of value. The others, like in the second tier, lower tiers, those fluctuate a lot. I just saw PSA 9 Leia Organa from Premiere sell today. We're recording this in the first week of April, but it was the highest price that ever happened for that one. It was like $120 too. So there are some, data points here and there where clearly somebody's like, hey, I need to go get this card. This is worth it to me, paying above and beyond what anyone else has paid previously.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, sales numbers, overall data points way down. But again, average sale about the same year over year. That's my main message.
What do you, in your opinion, what do you attribute the lower amount of sales to this year versus last year?
I wonder if there's a bit of a saturation in the market, that people who want to pursue graded Star Wars CCG stuff, like they have what they want, because there's just so many more people grading and more people selling now. And so there's less, there's just less someone who's like, I need to go get this card. So of the community of possible Star Wars CCG graded buyers and sellers. Yeah, if we have about 1,000, well, out of that 1,000 in our group, and obviously there's people that are not in the Facebook group that buy and sell Star Wars CCG graded cards like that. That's clear. But I wonder if at the point now, because grading Star Wars CCG cards, as you all know, aside from JP, is sort of a newer phenomenon. Let's say the past like 5 years on JP is an OG. Like we're not including him, but like we in terms of the data on our sheet, like yeah, I feel like we have very robust records of pretty much every Star Wars CCG. So I'd wager like we have 99% of the public Star Wars CCG graded sales on the spreadsheet, given what I found. And so there's this explosion post COVID or during COVID, and even the last couple of years of sales of just people out there. I'm just curious. Yeah, I'd be curious, Kyle, for your take and JP's take. But I wonder if at the point now where like people kind of have what they want with this, and it's not growing in terms of the number. I very rarely, let's put it this way, I very rarely see like just regular auctions. Most of the time when I'm getting this data, it's buy it now, is fixed prices, best offers. I'm not seeing the number of like just penny auction, 99-cent auction closes on a Sunday that I did when I started this work about a year and a half ago. I think there's less appetite for risk from sellers. I think they see it as risky to put up something as 99 cents. What if people don't see it in the week? And so that is causing people to hold on to their stuff. Yeah, that's my long answer on that.
Yeah, at some point, like the penny or 99-cent auctions just kind of like stopped happening, and people just put some outrageous prices on some of the stuff that they wanted to sell. And of course it just sat. Like if you want to move it, then you would put it at auction. Like if there's something like, I really want to move this and I might get 70% of what I wanted, but it'll move, then you do that. If you're like, I could post this and forget about it, and if it sells, like great. Now, the funny thing is, like, just today, like a few hours ago, somebody bought a $2 bill I had listed on my eBay seller thing. That thing could have been sitting there for like no joke, like almost a decade. Like I have some stuff I've posted I like forgot I even had up there, and I was like, oh yeah, like I did have that because it's an extra, but I'll take it, but I wasn't willing to go below like $25 or something on it. So I was like, it'll sit. If somebody wants it, they'll get it, but if I put it on a penny auction, I don't know if there was enough people that would go for that. Now Star Wars CCG though, like when I look sometimes, I'm like, oh, let's see what's ending this weekend, or like what's going around the horn, like what cool cards are coming up. Like sometimes it's like nothing at like a cheap auction. Like everything's like a buy it now at like, well over $100.
Or their starting price is like really high. Their starting price is like where they would like to sell it for. And so nobody's bidding on it at all.
Here's the problem, right? Like it as a seller, right, you need to give the buyer a critical reason to act. That's a big piece, right? They need to have a pain, right? The pain of missing it, the pain of really wanting it, right? They need to have kind of an idea of where they're going with their collection, right? There's like your vision piece. They need to have the power and authority to do that. They need to have the funds to be able to do it. But that critical reason to act, that sort of urgency, is not there when you have a buy it now. So you save it, you watch it, you're like, cool, I'll deal with this later because it's no rush. Like probably no one's going to buy it. So like in my mind, if I put something in a watch list, it's like, I'll buy it eventually. Like when I feel like it, or I've not come across anything cheaper, I'll get it. Occasionally you'll come across the option to buy that same thing cheaper, like at an auction or whatever. And then you can unwatch it later. Be like, well, I knew it was there, so I felt more comfortable knowing it exists when I need it. If I don't see something I need for a long time and then it pops up, then you get that critical reason to act. But other than that, like if I see there's some things that pop up on auction that I'm like, all right, well, there goes my week. Like I need to zero in on this because this is going to end and I like this product and it's either going to come to me or it's going to go to somebody else. And that's it. And like, if there's just certain collectible items that come up on eBay, if they show up on auction, I'm in. Like, I'm sorry, I got to drop everything. Like, I'm not going to buy it now. I'm going to focus on the auctions. because that's where the urgency's at. Sometimes you get, a weird time of the auctions, right? Of course, we've seen these auctions that end at absurd times, but without that critical reason to act, I don't see why it would sell. I imagine last year there were probably more just auctions in general, right? As opposed to the buy it now. So in my opinion, right, I have things that have been graded either like duplicates or not what I want or whatever. I sell it at a loss, and some people be like, well, that's dumb. But if I take the money that would have just sat in terms of my selling profile for the next 6 to 8 years before it moves, if it moves at all, then that's money I can't spend on something that I actually want and can use it, right? So they use this in sports. You have to have this mentality in like sports cards if you're going to be in it at all. Like you can't just have it and be like, I'm never selling it because it's down and I'm just going to keep buying cards until they're up, right? It's like, sometimes they might not, right? Like sometimes you got to cut your losses, but if you spent 500 and then you sell it for 300, arguably that 300, you could go use that to buy something that you actually want, or maybe that'll appreciate or something else, versus keeping the thing that was 500 at a $300 value and not move it. And now you don't have that flexibility. So I've kind of just accepted that as like, I've won in other regards. So I can't only look at the ones I'm losing at and be like, this is where I'm at. It's like, that's not really a good analogy because you're not looking at the ones you won, right? Like the stuff you submitted and you got back tens, like you got all that value there. Like you definitely gained the upside. So you knew you were going to have a risk of losing some. So it's not really like an all loss, right? Like you got to look at it from a big picture. At least that's the way I'm trying to look at it rationally, right? I don't know how you feel about it, JP, or Luke, but
well, I see it more simplistically. So I've been watching it for, a couple of years. We've been in this group for a while. And 2-3 years ago, the bulk of people didn't quite have the collections that they wanted. So I think there was like 70%, the bulk of our members were just trying to accumulate, get everything that they can get at the time because the prices were going up, sealed product was going up. So I feel like they're getting to the point now where everybody's getting the stuff that they want. Very few people were like the ones that are going to flip 100% of their collections are just not flipping their collections. And now we're just getting to the point now where they're going to try to find those largest margins of wins where it's all going to be those mains, high grades, and stick to that formula because it's a different feeling a couple of years ago than it is now because I don't feel like we've got that whole new group coming in where there's that shift of they're new and they need to get their hands on the stuff that they can grade. It seems like our 1,000 people are out there doing the hustle. They've gotten what they want, and there's just not that next replacement group coming in saying, oh my gosh, I better hurry up and get in this and get what I need. It's just getting to the point where everybody's got what they need, and now it's going to slowly it's going to sharpen the focus of just the big main stuff. And those are going to skyrocket because now you got 1,000 people that are chasing those big super mains. And that's why that Leia went up $120. You throw another one, you throw a Han Solo out there, that's going to be a 10. And that's probably going to be the new record for Han. So I figure it's just going to start sharpening up to just those elite cards, and people have got what they were looking for. So that's how I've been viewing it, because I just feel like as I'm sitting back watching it, because I don't ever sell. So I'm not figuring it from my seat of my experience. I just watch what the group does, and I just study what's going on eBay. And for me, it's just that people got what they need.
Well, I'm not selling my core cards anytime soon, so you won't see those. The stuff that I do sell is generally just duplicates. I don't need another one, so might as well throw it out to the community. But yeah, you're probably right with that. I wasn't really thinking of like the next replacement generation. It's not like Pokemon, right, where there's always younger kids coming in and looking for new, fresh cards.
Right.
They're not printing them, but
right. This is out of print. All that's been printed is what's been printed. So everybody's got what they need, and yeah, we see. I mean, there's been a fluctuation of up and down of even the sealed product we're watching, because I think everybody even has what they need out of that. So the prices have been slowly coming down and more affordable. And who knows? We may hit another point where all the sealed stuff's going to hit just like this rock bottom, and people are going to lose their minds and start loading up on it again, and supply and demand takes over.
When I look at when I'm looking at like certain cards, if I'm determining like my internal value, not like the value of what's listed, but when I'm thinking of what's value, I'm like thinking, okay, how many people or what types of collectors want this item, right? Whether it's a $2 bill or a card or something. I'm thinking, you know, obviously mains crisscross a lot of different things. You could be just people collecting main characters or like movie blocks. They could be set collectors, but more often than not, people have in their mind like, you know, certain types of sets we've seen, right? Maybe we've seen, you know, ships and their matching pilots, or just bounty hunters, right? Cool stuff like that, right? Like that's not really a set, but like there's some things like a timer mine, like that's not going to crisscross anybody's thing unless you're a set collector, unless you collect weapons, maybe, but you know, like that doesn't really crisscross anything. But like, you know, your Darth Vader is going to appeal to anybody, even outside of Star Wars CCG. People are going to want that. This Han Solo Leia's, right? Like that's the huge, big appeal. Cross intersecting there, and then it just kind of goes down, you know, based on like, okay, the likelihood of people wanting this card. So that's kind of how in my mind I'm looking at it when I see sometimes like these cards that are like, okay, you're asking for this price, but I'm like, who is the target market for this? Like, who really wants this card graded, right? Like, is it a cool ship, like or a vehicle or something like Rogue 3 foil? You know, it's like, okay, maybe a foil collector might want it, somebody who likes Hoth stuff, somebody who's collecting the set, or whatever, right? I'm just kind of crisscrossing, and then I'm like, of the people that I'm kind of imagining, like, you know, there's only so many people. It's like maybe 4 or 5 people would like really maybe want this card, if that they don't already have, right? So that's kind of like the way I assess it. And if I'm like, okay, either this is priced in a way that I'm like, okay, that's fair because enough people would probably fight over it to be like, this is a shared, understood value of what it would be, versus some things I'm like, nobody wants that. I'm like, I'm the only one who wants this. I don't know anyone's going to pay that, so I'm not going to pay that. You know, I'm going to either offer you something lower or wait till you drop it because it's going to sit there forever. So like these are the kind of like conversations I like have in my head. I'm like, yeah, right. Where I'm like, oh, that's a fair deal. You know, it's like, because I would pay that, so I'm good with it, you know.
That sounds like me with uncut sheets, Kyle. Like the market is so limited for like what exactly I'm looking for. That's like, I know what the price of this, what I'm looking for, what I think this is worth. I'm probably one of maybe 5 people who are in the market to this.
Sure, but there's another added element in there where some of these, you know, you come across, this might be your only chance to get it.
That's
like,
very true.
With $2 bills, like some of the things, there are less than like 5 in the world. Like if something pops up, like, and they're asking price, like I'm probably not going to have much wiggle room on it.
Yep.
It's like, it is what it is. Like if this is my chance to get it before some millionaire picks it up or some asshole, it's like, and then they die with it. You know, it's like, I need to go, you know, it's like, I need to get that.
Yeah.
Get that. And that's understood because of its, this, you know, it's here. I need to get it. Like, This is the price. It is what it is. I got to rationalize it somehow. Sometimes you're like, oh, that's such an FU, but I'm still going to do it. You know, like, you know, when they can find that sweet spot where they're like, I hate you, but I'm still going to do it. You know, like, you know, if somebody's really mastered that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking we'll have, of course, slowdowns in sales over the summer as people think less about this. But there's also the external factor we cannot ignore. The economic uncertainty in the United States. I think a lot of people probably have things crossing their mind of like, what's my spending capabilities going to be? in the near or before the end of the year. So we'd be remiss not to mention that. Although I'm not going to go into politics, it's just there is some uncertainty there, which generally the first thing to go is your free collecting spend. But that might just mean people may be pickier in their spending, because it's not going to stop people from spending, but it may control over their capability or consolidate the amount or what they're going to kind of zero and focus on. And if it were me, it would probably be a main, right? It would probably be something that you really want, and probably not that timer mine or that random rogue foil. Maybe that'd be like, that's a nice to have, but I don't know if that's a need to have at the moment. So I don't know. We will see. It's only early April, so May 4th, like you said, generally May is a very exciting time for Star Wars people. Any final thoughts here while we wrap up? I don't really have anything else to sum up. I guess this has been 45 minutes.
I just want to say just how valuable and talented that Luke is. This is why we're having these conversations. Is we're tracking it and we're making sense of the data. I mean, the values that you're bringing, the data and the values of the data, is just like, it's priceless, because now we're looking back to what last year's is and what 3 years ago. If we didn't talk about it and track that stuff, where would we be? What kind of conversations would we be having and trying to
speculation, hypothetical? Nobody would know.
Yeah. So Luke, thank you for your service to our group. Thank you to the community and the whole industry. Actually, this is going to be something fantastic as the years go on, and I appreciate all your work.
Thanks, JP. Thanks, Kyle. That's very kind of you guys. It's obviously a passion project for all of us, and something I enjoy doing, of trying to figure out what's going on, as you all are too. So, and as a historian, trying to look back in the past and see what's going forward. So yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Very kind.
Yeah, you digging up that, what was it, Worth Point or something, that data?
Yeah, that was another thing.
I mean, that was wild.
That didn't have many graded sales. That's funny. Maybe I should mention this on the graded update. We are now tracking authenticated autographs on like slabbed autographs on the tracker. Because like it's gonna come across my search anyways, like a PSA or BGS authenticated. Like my search is Star Wars CCG PSA, right? That's one of my standard ones, or Star Wars CCG BGS. So like I'm gonna find those anyways. I might as well throw them on. So separate tab. If you have an authenticated autograph want or sales point, let me know. But that was a bunch of stuff I found on WorthPoint, which is a site that tracks very old eBay data going back like 20 years or so, which was an interesting find for sure.
I was going to say, I was kind of inspired. I got one of these, like, you can't really see it, but because I have a green screen, it happens to have a green background, but it is a green background over here. But Heritage Auction is doing trading card games signature auction June 20th to 21st. And I don't think there'll be any Star Wars CCG per se on here, but I was like, well, that's how you know you've made it, right? Like when you end up on a Heritage Auction site, for one of their like profile catalog sort of signature sales. I mean, obviously you have a signed Black Lotus by the artist and some Japanese Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know much about Yu-Gi-Oh, but that's how we know we've made it, right? So I'm like, one day maybe we'll see Star Wars CCG on there, Imperial class Star Destroyer, or some Darth Vader, something like that. Like that would be pretty cool. I don't know what the target market is. Maybe that'd be like a whole nother ball game, right? Because there's some very wealthy people that buy things on that website. Like I feel like I'm out of my league when I go there. I'm just like a peasant, like compared to the people and the items they're selling on there. I'm like, I feel like I'm in some VIP place I'm not supposed to be. Like I don't know. It's funny. But anyways, thank you, gentlemen. This has been fantastic. Another successful graded update. So thank you, Luke, for everything, and JP, of course. And see you guys on the next update.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, guys.